right, today we're going to continue with our big idea, collecting, displaying, and analyzing data. So collecting it, showing it in a graph, and reading that graph helps us to solve problems and understand the real world. Our concept today is being able to draw pictographs. So you're going to work on drawing pictographs today. Let's take a look at this information. We have Aliyah, who asked grade 4 and 5 students in her school how they travel to school each day. This is the information that she has. She has 30 students walking, 45 taking the bus, 5 by bike, and 25 by car. She is going to draw a pictograph. She has chosen a person for her symbol because she collected the data on the number of students. To make sure her graph isn't too large, she chose one person to be 10 students because she has a fairly large number here, 45. So you certainly wouldn't want to do a one-to-one correspondence, which means you're drawing over 45 little people for the number of students that rode the bus. So a 10-to-1 correspondence is what she's chosen, which then means, of course, a half a person is going to be 5 students. This is a really good choice because we can see here that all of our numbers are multiples of 5. So 5 times 1, 5 times 6, 5 times 9, and so on. So this will work really quite well because she will always end up with either a whole person or a half person. If any of her numbers were different, like for example, if she had 32 people walking, that would make this key much more difficult, but because of her information it works quite nicely. So in her pictograph, to show 30 students, she would need 3 people, 10, 20, 30, because one person is 10 students according to her key. To show 45 students, she would need 4 complete symbols, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then a half a person for that 5. So that's our 45 there. Number that bike, well, there's only 5 of them, so she really only needs half a person. And 25, she would need 2 people, 10, 20, and a half for the 5. So that would be her pictograph, or what she would place into her pictograph. Of course, she would need titles and such. Right, so here is what she has actually drawn. To draw the pictograph, she wrote each type of transportation, so she has each type of transportation. She has a title for that axis, type of transportation. She has a title for the entire graph, which is extremely important, and actually one that's often forgotten. But without this title, it's very hard to read what the graph is about. So how students travel to school was her information. As specific as you can make that title, the better. She also has her key. One symbol was equal to 10 students. Then she completed her pictograph. As we noticed before, we said she would need 3 people for 30 that walk, 4.5 people for the 45 that take the bus, a half a person for the 5 people that are biking, and 2.5 people for the car, for the 25 that are taken to school by car. All right, now it's your chance to practice, and we're not going to actually draw one for practice, but we're going to discuss what we would do if we were drawing one. So, for example, here we have circus animals. We have the animal and the number of that animal that was seen. So we have 2 people who would like to draw this graph. We have Alexi, who wants to use a legend of 1 star equaling 2 animals. And we have Theodora, who wants to use a legend of 1 star equaling 3 animals. Take a moment and pause and discuss, what do you think would be her best choice? Or think about, what do you think would be her best choice? Should she have 1 star represent 2 animals, or 1 star represent 3 animals? Remember to look very carefully at your information here to determine which one you think would be best. All right, so let's take a quick peek. If we had 1 star, if we had 1 star being 2 animals, how many stars would we need to have for each one? Well, let's take a look. For a lion, we would need 2, 4, 6. So for a lion, we would need 3. And we're just going to record here the blue stars, how many we would need. For a tiger, we would need 1. For a bear, 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, and one more, we would need 4.5. Oops. For 7, 2, 4, 6, we would need 3 and then a half. And for a monkey, we would need 2. 4, we would need 2. Okay, so that's not so bad. Now, if we were choosing Theodora's with red, how many stars would we need for each? Let's take a look. All right, for 6, 3, 6, we would need 2 stars. For tiger, 2. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. For 2, we wouldn't need 1 complete star, but 2 is not quite half of 3. Somehow we would need to take our star and divide it into thirds. That means we would only be able to draw this little bit of a star. That might be tricky. Let's keep going and try the others. For 9, 3, 6, 9, we would need 3. Oops. For 7, we would need 3, 6, and then again, we're going to need a third of 1 because 3 makes up 1. Oops, let me fix my star there. So again, we would just need this little bit of the star. We wouldn't need this part. That's a little bit tricky to read. 4, again, that's 1 whole 1 and a third. So really, because of the numbers that we have here and so few of them being multiples of 3, something we can get by multiplying with 3, it's really not a great choice. Our better choice would be to go by 2s. So it's really important to look at the data that you have to graph to determine what kind of numbering or what kind of key you would want for your pictograph, how many you would want represented by one picture. All right, at this point you are on to your concept practice. Page 260, 261, numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and your drawing pictographs. Remember to include your title. Remember to also include your title on the vertical axes here. Remember to include your key, how many you're going to have. Make sure that they're not all just a one-to-one correspondence. With a pictograph, you need to try one at least that is going to have a many-to-one correspondence where your picture is representing 2 of that item or 3 of that item, etc. In class, we also use exit slips. So once we have discussed our concept practice together as a class, after that we do a quick exit slip just to determine our understanding after our discussion of the concept. I've decided to start to include your exit slips just in case for some reason it gets misplaced. Then you have another option. So this is your exit slip for drawing pictographs. So you can go ahead and do that one as well, but not until after we have had our class discussion of the concept.